Dear friends, today we have with us Australia's Assistant Minister for Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs, Julian Hill. Minister, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
It's terrific to be with you.
Yeah. Minister, I want to begin by saying this, that it's been a remarkable journey for Australia in the last 40-50 years, from white Australia policy to today Australia being one of the most successful multicultural communities in the world, one of the most successful multicultural nations in the world. How important and significant has this journey been for Australia in terms of its economy, culture and soft power?
The last 50 years have transformed our continent. Australia's always been a multicultural continent. First Nations Australians, Indigenous Australians spoke more than 250 different languages, but it was the Whitlam Labor government in the 1970s that put in place the legal foundations for modern multicultural Australia, abolishing fully the last vestiges of the old racist white Australia policy and introducing the Racial Discrimination Act, which celebrates 50 years this year. And that's laid the foundations for generations of migrants to come and help build the country, grow wealth, give their kids perhaps a better life than they thought they could have in other parts of the world. But just being a diverse country is not the same thing as being a successful multicultural society. And that's the thing that we should be really proud of as Australians, that overwhelmingly we've been a successful multicultural society with people being able to celebrate and cherish their cultural traditions, but share those with other Australians. As Australians, we still have more in common than we have difference, our commitment to our country and to our democratic system of government.
Yeah, and it has contributed majorly to Australia's economy and growth as well. Perhaps something that is not often talked about. So, what would you say about that?
The multicultural nature of our society, our human diversity, is one of Australia's greatest assets. In an economic sense, we have people who speak hundreds of different languages, who understand different cultural traditions whilst being Australian, and that provides the basis of bridges to the world for economic growth, for investment facilitation, for doing business. And that's a great thing. We do very well from international students who come to our country, might get a graduate visa and help an Australian business to develop new markets and to understand parts of the world that they may not be familiar with. So absolutely, we have done well as a country. We're a wealthier country, we're a stronger country through being more diverse.
Just yesterday, your government released the economic engagement plan with India. And of course, there was a mention of the importance of the Indian diaspora as well. What might be some specific steps that your government plans to undertake, specifically with regards to the Indian diaspora, which is amongst the highest educated, amongst the highest tax-paying, and has by and large contributed a lot to Australia. So anything specific when it comes to the Indian diaspora and engagement with India as well?
You're absolutely right. The Prime Minister has placed enormous priority on deepening Australia's relationship with India. The PM, since becoming Prime Minister just under 3 years ago, has had 11 face-to-face meetings with Prime Minister Modi, and not just about cricket. Cricket's important, not just about the cricket though, but really trying to drill into how we can deepen our economic partnership and also start to build more of a strategic partnership as well, given we have so many shared interests in the Indo-Pacific region as two great democracies. The roadmap is about trying to drill down and make it easier for Australia to do business with India. What I'd also like to see over time is a greater investment relationship. It's good to sell each other stuff, it's good to have a business relationship, but when you invest in each other's countries, it means that young Indians know that Australian superannuation funds are helping to build the infrastructure for India's future, and it means that Australia knows that India has a stake in our economic success. In terms of the Indian diaspora, Australia has benefited so greatly from generations of migrants from India, and you're absolutely right. Highly educated these days, highly skilled, low unemployment, prepared to have a crack, start a business, employ people, create wealth. It is fantastic. In terms of, it's a funny answer because I'm not going to answer the question in that the things that I know from my community and my friends that Indian Australians want, or better put, Australians with Indian heritage, right?
Sure.
First and foremost, people are Australians. They've got a shared commitment to our country and our future success.
Sure.
But the things that people want are the same. They want a safe community. They want a strong economy. You know, everyone cares that you got a tax cut. Everyone cares that inflation is now a third of what it was that we inherited from the Liberals. Everyone cares that debt forecasts are $200 billion lower than when we were elected, that real wages are growing and now interest rates are falling. Everyone cares about Medicare, the beating heart of our health system, that it was, people new to Australia don't always understand the political history. Labor fought for decades to create Medicare, a universal health system. Everyone benefits from that. So at this election, the big things which we're going to be putting forward to the Australian people to vote for, including Australians of Indian heritage, are the economy is stronger, the budget's in better shape, we're going to restore the promise at the heart of Medicare by improving the bulk billing system, building houses for the next generation, making the education system fairer, and really importantly, rebuilding the industrial manufacturing base of our country, which has been degraded for too long. So, they're the big things. The very final thing I'll say, of course, is on citizenship, which is a big question for people. The government believes it's a good thing when people want to confirm and formalise their commitment to our country. It is a point of difference with the opposition. Peter Dutton and the Liberals have constantly tried to make it harder to become a citizen. Only the last couple of weeks complaining about big citizenship ceremonies from people who've met the legal requirements. Well, people from India are the largest share of our new citizens, and if the Liberals don't want them to become citizens, they should just say so.
When it comes to, again, this is a kind of a sensitive topic in terms of immigration and the numbers of people that are coming in, and your government has also taken some steps in terms of the number of international students that you're letting in. How do you plan to strike a balance between what is the right number, because there is some anxiety regarding that as well, and with the cost of living going up and things like that. So how do you strike the right balance whereby, you address that anxiety of too much immigration, but you also don't want to lose out on attracting the best talent in the world?
Yeah, a really good question. And it is balance. Absolutely is a balance. People should think about the immigration program in this way. There's permanent visas, and the numbers there actually haven't changed much over the last 10 years. They've bounced around between about, say, 160 and 190-ish thousand permanent visas each year. Any responsible government will adjust the immigration program from year to year depending on how the economy is going and what the skills mix we need are, and that's exactly what our government has done. Going forward, you just got to remember that difference between the permanent setting, where we want good, skilled migrants that add value to the country, and temporary migrants, so working holiday makers, international students, temporary skilled workers, and so on. So we do need to manage the number of international students. There will always be more people who want to come and study onshore in Australia than our country can take, but we continue to welcome good, high-quality students from all parts of India.
Yeah. And just last question, Minister, that Australian citizenship is a privilege. It offers a lot of rights, but it should entail some responsibilities as well. So while we do have a law whereby non-citizens can be deported if they indulge in criminal activities, do you reckon that there should be a law with regards to, where the government can strip nationalized citizens also of their citizenship if they're found to engage in criminal activities, or, if they are seen as a clear danger, to Australia in the short term or the long term? So
you're right that there are privileges and responsibilities that come with citizenship. One of those responsibilities is to vote, and we should never take for granted the fact that Australians are in a minority in the world, along with people from India, who enjoy that basic right to vote and choose their governments. The law already provides for stripping people of citizenship in cases of terrorism, for instance. Look, Peter Dutton has a long history in this. He tried when he was the minister, never forget this, your listeners need to remember this, that when Peter Dutton was the minister, he tried to introduce a university-level English language test to become an Australian citizen. Frankly, a test that many Australians born here would never pass. You don't need perfect university level English to be a good Australian. So Labor believes that the test to become a citizen is right, 4 years here, a year as a permanent resident, a test in basic English, pass all the security and character checks. When you become a citizen, that is a common bond. Citizenship is very special. There's a high bar to get there. Peter Dutton always wants to make it harder. That's a pattern. He's been floating ideas the last few weeks about that. That's not going to change. That's who he is. But I don't believe in two classes of citizenship. When someone meets the requirements of Australian citizenship, that's a common bond with other Australians.
All right. Minister, thank you so much for speaking with us, and thank you for giving us your time. And any last comments you would, any last comments that you would like to tell our viewers?
I really encourage your viewers to participate in the democratic process. My party, Labor, is the world's oldest social democratic party. We're founded in the 1800s for the cause of making a fairer society and a better society. And I would argue and say to people relatively new to Australia, have a look at the political history of the country. The two major parties of government, the Liberal Party and the Labor Party, are not the same. We have a view about a strong economy, about supporting people's aspiration to build businesses, but also a social safety net with things like Medicare, like the National Disability Insurance Scheme, like the age pension. All of these are things that Labor governments throughout history have built, and of course our world-leading superannuation system that provides for a dignified retirement. But above all else, don't take our democracy for granted. Unemployment's at 50-year record lows, interest rates are coming down, and we're now in a position to really reinvest in Medicare and a lot of those things that Australian families need. So don't take our democracy for granted.
Thank you so much, Minister, for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.